This prison was infamously known as Hell on Earth before it was shut down not too long ago. This is Lavier Prison in Trois-Rivieres, Canada. We recently got a first-hand look at this grim relic of Canadian history when we literally spent time behind bars while taking a tour that allowed us to experience what it was like for prisoners here. Lavier Prison was built in 1822, and after 164 years of operation, it was unceremoniously shut down in 1986 due to severe overcrowding and horrendous sanitary conditions. Our tour guide told us it took 2 years of deep cleaning to prepare this building for historical tours. When they shut down Lavier Prison in 1986, it was at that time the oldest prison in Canada. And life here could only be described as a living nightmare where 10 prisoners were crammed into cells that were designed to hold 4. And the main reason why it was so unsanitary in this prison is because of the toilets, or the lack of toilets. They only used buckets inside of the cells. Every prisoner in each cell relied on a single bucket to use the restroom. From the day it opened up until its last day of operation, buckets were the only indoor plumbing system ever used at Lavier Prison. It was a breeding ground for all kinds of illnesses and diseases, and there were also lots of cases of hypothermia and frostbites due to the poor heating system. And if you were having a really bad day, you might find yourself in the dungeon, which was a pitch-black hole in the basement of the prison with a dirt floor and a ceiling too low to allow prisoners to stand up straight. The dungeon was a big room held in complete darkness by walls and doors that blocked any sunlight whatsoever. There was a mattress on the floor and a bucket somewhere, but that's all, except for the rats and rodents that shared the living space. A stay in the dungeon could last from a couple of hours up to 2 weeks. In total darkness, prisoners lost all sense of time and could literally go crazy. Prisoners in the main population were not allowed to be in their cells during the day. Work was mandatory. And no matter what your religion was, when you came to Lavier, you were Catholic. Everyone was required to attend Catholic Mass every Sunday. The prison was built to hold a maximum of 40 prisoners in 1822, because at that time there were only 2,000 people living in the town, which meant about 2% of the population was behind bars at any given time. It didn't take much to get thrown into prison either. You could get sent to Lavier as young as 12 years old. The prison has some records of 7-year-olds spending time here, according to our tour guide. She said her personal favorite was a case where 2 12-year-olds got arrested for using a stick to take down fruit off a tree. They got sent to Lavier Prison for a month. But justice wasn't always equal. A woman who gave birth to a child and didn't want her family to know also got a 1-month sentence when it was discovered that she had killed the child. The prison population was overwhelmingly men, but women were sent here too, most usually for crimes such as prostitution and theft. As the population of Trois-Rivieres began to grow, so did the number of inmates at the prison. By the 1950s, there were 55,000 people living in the city of Trois-Rivieres. The jail population by then grew to 3 times its maximum capacity of 40 inmates. The inmate population had hit 100 prisoners. 10 inmates were required to occupy cells made for 4. At times, they actually ran out of beds, and that was a problem. But the bigger issue for the town itself was the location of the jail. At the time it was built in the 1800s, the jail was in the middle of an empty field with nothing around it. But as time went on, the shipping industry became important, and more people wanted to live closer to downtown. Houses and businesses began to spring up downtown, and before long, the jail found itself surrounded by development. One of the main reasons why the prison had to be shut down in the mid-1980s was because town residents who built houses and established businesses downtown couldn't stand the smell that came from the prison. On a more positive note, we found out about 10 years before the prison was closed, the inmates here organized a successful campaign to get a swimming pool installed on the prison yard one summer in 1977. They all chipped money into a collection plate to buy the swimming pool, and then won approval to have it installed.
Their money together to buy themselves a pool, and they managed to do it, and they got approved to put a pool here in the yard. And so in 1977 there was an over-the-ground pool, a pretty big one actually. I mean, it was a circle pool that was here in the yard. Let's just say some questionable hygiene by a few people, and also with fall, not really any upkeep to the pool. It was its first and last summer, but still in 1977 here there was a pool. So that was a pretty great summer for everything, considering. So I always like to end it with that little anecdote. So I thank you guys. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned. I hope maybe I made you feel like I wanted to in the beginning, and made you really understand what many went through for 164